Yeah, start it, Nishat.
Wait, just a minute.
Start it, Nishat.
Just a minute. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Good afternoon to all. Today we are at third day, sixth session of SumCity 2021 International Webinar Series 1. I heartily welcome you all. Now I request Dr. Venkatesh Gowda, sir, for welcome talk.
Good afternoon, one and all. Om Shri Guru. Third day, sixth lecture. And also I welcome our management committee members, Shri Vijay Mahantesha Vidyavartaka Sangha, as well as the chairman of Shri Vijay Mahantesha Ayurveda Medical College and PG Research Center. And also I welcome our hospital, RP Kardi Ayurveda Hospital, Dr. N.R. Banki sir. And also the backbone of this event president, Dr. K.C. Das sir, principal, Shri Vijay Mahantesh Ayurveda Medical College. I welcome you, sir. And also extend the welcome to our today's guest speaker, Dr. Abhishek Tamrakar, Associate Professor and HOD, Department of Ayurveda Samhita Siddhanta, Patanjali Ayurveda Medical Sciences, Kathmandu, Nepal. I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir. So continue with this. I also extend my welcome to the department staff, Dr. Sujjan Shetty sir, HOD, Ayurveda Samhita Siddhanta, SVM EMC, and also I extend my welcome to Dr. B.H. Katti sir, Rupa madam, Dr. G.N. Kannoli sir, Dr. Rashmi madam, and also extend my welcome to the participants from different parts of country as well as from even from the Nepal. Also, I wholeheartedly welcome you all for this webinar series. Today we have the eminent speaker, Dr. Abhishek Tamrakar, who will be speaking on the Anumana Pramana. I hope all will make use of this session. Now I request Dr. Rameshwari to introduce our today's guest speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all. Today we are at third day, second session of SumSiddhi 2021 International Webinar Series. First, myself, Dr. Rameshwari Kankre, Dr. Abhishek Tamrakar, MD Ayurveda Maulik Siddhant and Samhita from National Institute of Ayurveda, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, Ayurveda University, Jaipur, Rajasthan. Sir has completed their UG from Ayurveda Campus, Institute of Medicine, Tribhuvan University, Kathmandu. Professional experiences. Sir is appointed in head of Department of Maulik Siddhanta, Samhita and Sanskrit at Patanjali Ayurveda and Research Center, affiliated to Nepal Sanskrit University, and many more. Their professional training and seminars, training workshop on health system methodology in Ayurveda, training workshop on Panchakam Chikitsa, and many more. He is co-author of Essential Textbook of Basic Science Applied to Nursing, Samiksha publication. He has achieved many awarded and honors. Sir is university topper for the BMS program, Ayurveda University, Institute of Medicine, Tribhuvan University in the year 2007. He is also awarded of the Jivika Award for securing highest mark in the final year of BMS examination for the year 2006 by the Himalaya Herbal Health Science, Bangalore, India. Professional association. Sir is also life member of Ayurvedic Doctor Association of Nepal. Sir is executive member of Nepal Ayurvedic Medical Council by the Ministry of Health and Publication Government of Nepal on April 2021. We are glad to have you in this event. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Welcome you, sir. On behalf of our department, we welcome you, and I hope you will be enrich our student with the knowledge whatever you have, and sometimes it may be different there in your country. So we want to hear you what different it is, and if it is that different, then what will be the changes we want to hear from you, sir. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, respected the chairperson, organizing committee of this webinar, all the HODs of the HOD of Maulik Siddhanta and Samita are there, all the teachers, the faculty members, and the students who are appearing this in this webinar. I, like you all, am just a student of Ayurveda, and I shall remain the student of Ayurveda as far as possible, I think, throughout my life. So to come here and share whatever knowledge or whatever inputs I have regarding the topic which I'm going to present today, it's a great opportunity. I would like to thank the organizing committee, the principal of the college, and HOD of the department for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge with you all. And obviously, sharing is always learning. So obviously, I will also get a chance to learn more about Ayurveda from you all too. Like Dr. Venkatesh said, the similarities between the India and Nepal. Actually, when we come to the textual things, I think there are no much differences. Usually the similarities are there. It's all similar. We usually don't have any contradictions or any difference in understanding. But when it comes to practice, we can find a great similarities between the Southern India practice and the traditional, I'm using the word traditional, the traditional healers or traditional practitioner that they do here in Nepal, especially Kathmandu. It's really interesting to know that the traditional healers in Nepal follow Ashtanga Hridaya as the text of reference for treating various diseases. Whereas in education-wise, we are given more preferences in the Charak Samhita and related factors. So that is the difference and the similarities what I want to tell you about, to let you know about the similarities we have in practices. Now let's go directly to the topic. The topic which I'm going to present today is Anuman Pramana. And I would like to thank Almighty Dhanvantari for giving me an opportunity to study this beautiful science of life, that is Ayurveda, and enrich me with its knowledge. So now, since the topic Anuman Pramana is a very, very vast topic, and this small time, whatever the time of 1 hour, which we have today, won't be enough to cover all the aspects of Anuman Pramana. But I will try my best to cover those aspects and give my inputs there. Okay. So now, with your permission, sir, the organizing sir, and all the teachers, I would like to start my session. Shall I start, sir?
Yes, sir, you can start, sir.
I think the slide is visible, sir, right?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Now we go with the topic. First, introduction. As Charak has stated, there are only two things in the world. One is Sat and Asat. So, and there are only two types of Jnana, knowledge. The source of knowledge are only two, Pratyaksha and Apratyaksha. So he has always said, what is Pratyaksha? Pratyaksha is always less, and Apratyaksha is very vast. So whatever knowledge we obtain in our life, nearly 90 to 95% of this knowledge are Apratyaksha. Means that they are based on previous experiences, but what we gain others, the maximum knowledge are from Apratyaksha medium, okay? So Pratyaksha Jnana can be obtained by Pratyaksha Pramana, whereas Apratyaksha knowledge needs other Pramana. Out of this other Pramana, Anuman Pramana holds the most important place there. Especially when it comes not just in knowledge of our life, but when it comes to our clinical practice also, the Anuman Pramana is very, very important. So now when we go into the acceptance, because every Pramana, it has to be accepted and validated by different school of thoughts, different philosophies and different darshans. all the darshan except Charvaka darshan, because Charvaka darshan only believes in Pratyaksha Pramana, has all other darshan except Charvaka has accepted Anumana as Pramana. It is considered as a discrete means of knowledge. Now we go into the second thing, one of the most important thing. When we talk about Anumana, it is always necessary to know what is Anumiti. Okay, Anumiti is Paramarsajanya Jnanam Anumiti, means the knowledge which is obtained or produced by or after Paramarsa, after determination, after coming to a conclusion is Anumiti. And Paramarsa is the knowledge that is Vyapti, knowledge that the Vyapti is in the Paksha. So this is Vyapti Vishishta Paksha Dharmata Jnanam Paramarsaha. That is Tarka Sangraha. According to Tarka Sangraha, this is the definition of Paramarsa and Paramarsajanya Jnanam Anumiti. These are the two definitions of Anumiti. Why we need to know about Anumiti? Because Anumana, this is also another definition of Anumiti. We go directly in going into Anumana. Anupasat kasyachit jnanantaram jayamanam iti jnanam anumitihi. Means the knowledge which is obtained after the linga or object Paramarsa, Linga Paramarsa is called Anumiti Pramana, or the means or ways used to get this type of knowledge is Anuman Pramana. Means Anumiti is the knowledge that is obtained after. It's Anupasat. After you have already obtained some knowledge in the past. On the basis of that, what we obtain is Anuman, Anumiti, and the means or the process by which we get this is Anumana. Now, what is Anumana Swarupa? The Anumana consists of two words, Anu and Mana. Okay, Anu means afterward. Sorry, there is a mistake there. Okay? It should be W-A-R-D or later, and Mana means knowledge. So what we can know is Anumana literally means knowledge gained or aroused later or afterward. Now, what afterward means? Afterward, after we had already obtained or we have had an exposure to similar knowledge in the past, we draw a conclusion or we draw an inference that we gain, that is Anumana. Now we again go into Anumana Parivasa. Anumiti Karanam Anumanam. We said Anumiti. What is Anumiti? We have already put Paramarsajanya Jnanam Anumiti. So what is Anumana means? Anumiti Karanam, or the sadhan, or the instrument or the means by which we obtain Anumiti is Anumana. Now we go into the nidukti portion. How is Anumana, the word Anumana is formed? It is made by it has Upasarga and Pratyaya. First, Upasarga is Anu. When it combines with Ma Dhatu and the Lut Lakar, Lut Pratyaya, then it forms the word Anumana, which means knowledge, which is produced after Pratyaksha, after etc. is Anumana. Now, what are the Lakshana of Anumana? Linga Lingi Purvakam means knowledge that is obtained or obtaining the knowledge of an object by seeing a specific linga is Anumana. Another definition. Anumana, according to another definition, there are many lakshan there, many definitions which we need to say. Anupasat miyate gyayata anena iti Anumana. Tarka Sangraha. Means, it also says, means the knowledge which is often after Pratyaksha Jnana is Anumana. Is Anumana. Okay. The main thing of Anumana is to infer or to come to a conclusion on the basis of already known data. Okay, we know something. We already had an exposure in the past. We knew. Okay, we already have an exposure or a knowledge in the past. On the basis of those experiences, on the basis of those knowledge which we have obtained by means of, let's say, by seeing a thing or testing something or meeting someone or having some good or bad experiences. And when we see something similar in the present and we come to an inference, we come to a deduction, come to a conclusion based on those facts which we had already observed or experienced in our past is Anumana. So the first criteria for Anumana is you need to have an experience. This experience can be in the form of your textual knowledge. This experience can be in the medium of a Pratyaksha Jnana, or you're directly, you have already had an experience. This is what Anumana is. Okay. Now again, we move forward with Anumana Lakshana is continued. Linga Paramarsa Paramarsa Anumana means the knowledge which is obtained after Linga Paramarsa. Linga Paramarsa is a process of obtaining knowledge where we go through all the stages, or let's say the Panchavaya, Vakya, and other, or the Paksha, Sadhya, and Hetu. When we analyze all these things and come to a conclusion, that is Linga Paramarsa. Means the final conclusion or the knowledge we obtain after having Linga Paramarsa, or after Linga Paramarsa, is Anumana. Inahi anumiyate tad anumana means whatever thing which we come to this conclusion or which we guess, okay, we make a speculations is anumana, but this speculation should not be random. It has to have some base in the back. It has to have some backing reasoning. It has to have some logical explanation for what anumana or what guess we are making. So there has to be that. But whatever is from which something is inferred, that is anumana, means whatever process we think of is anumana. Now this Nyaya Vasya has given a very nice explanation of anumana. This is what actually we should be following as a physician, okay? Pratyaksha agam asritam anumana means the knowledge which is dependent on pratyaksha and agama. Agama or aptapadesha is anumana. This means all our textual books are aptapadesha. All our teachers says is our, whatever our teachers say is aptapadesha. So this, when you see this, when you go see this and go back to the clinical settings in the future, whichever or who are practicing, when you go into the clinical settings, a patient come to you, he tells you the features, you correlate those features with the text, with the things that are written in the text, and then you come to a conclusion that this is the dosa dhatu mala, or these are the dosa dushya, and this is the diagnosis, this is the conclusion which we have made. These all come under that. So the application of anumana is very, very vast. So pratyaksha agama asritam anumana means whatever deduction we make on the basis of our previous experiences with our pratyaksha jnana or from agama is anumana, from which something is inference is anumana. Okay, whatever inference we make is anumana. But there are many definitions, so I'm just going through the definitions first. Anumana kalu tarka yukti apeksha means you are making a deduction, but it should always be based on tarka, and it should always follow with the yukti. It should always have a logical reasoning. That's the way I said in the before slide where we said anumiyate yad anumiyate tat anumanam means whatever is guess inferred is anumanam. But the criteria for that is it has to have a logical reasoning. It has to have a logical backing to validate its statement. So when we do that, it is then only it is called anumana according to Charaka. Linga sambandha janayatam anumana. This is what Gangadhar says. The knowledge that is obtained from the relationship between linga and lingi is anumana. Means what is the present object and from which we are making the inferred objects is anumana. Another is, this is the most popular sloka which we read about anumana. That is pratyaksham purvam trividam trikalam cha anumiyate vani nirgudo dhumena maithunam garva darsanat evam vyavasyanti atitam bijat phalam anagatam drishtva bijat phalam jatam iya eva samridrisya buddha. This is one of the most popular. Now what we need to know is there are two criteria here. One, there are three things which we need to understand in this. First is the pratyaksha purva. Means this whatever anuman or whatever the anumiyate, whatever guess or deduction we are making, it should be based on pratyaksha purva. Means it has to be there. That is, it has to be based on your previous experiences. Whatever previous experience or whatever you have seen through pratyaksha jnana, or in this pratyaksha we can include aptapadesha also. Whatever we have seen, we have experienced, we have studied, that has to be the base for anumana. First criteria. Another, from this we can make three types of trividam jnanam. Trividam means from karan to karya to karan, and another akaran, akarya, bhava. These are the three things which we have to explain. This has been very nicely explained by Chakrapani in this chapter. And we make three inferences of what? Trikala, means of the three, of the future, of the past, or whatever is happening in the present. Means we make all those deduction so with the help of anumana. That is Anumana. Means on the basis of Pratyaksha Jnana, one can make inference of Anumana of three kalas. That is present, past, present, and the future. This is one of the very nice way of understanding Anumana. These example, Vahani Nirguna Dhumena, means wherever there is fire, wherever there is smoke, there is fire, or wherever there is fire, there is smoke. That is on the present conditions. Okay, and Maithuna Garva Darsanath. You see Garva, and what do you guess? We guess that there has been Maithuna in the past. Okay. Another is that when you see bees, you see seeds, or you see someone planting the seed. What do you infer from that? Is that in the future it is going to give some fruit. So these are all what we have to see. Or when you see seeds, you go back and infer that there was fruit from which the seeds were collected. So these are the Anumana Lakshanam, one of the most popular sloka. Now we go into the Veda, or the types of Anumana. Charaka has mentioned three types of Anumana: Atita, Anagata, and Vartaman Kalin. Another Gautama Nyaya Darshan has mentioned three types: Puruvat, Sesvat, and Samanyota Drishta. Nearly both are same. It's the name are difference. Nearly the explanation and the process and the content or the main idea of these are same. Another is Tarka Sangraha. Tarka Sangraha has mentioned two: Swartha Anuman and Parartha Anuman. This is another beauty of this Anumana, where Swartha Anuman and Parartha Anuman is one of the most beautiful aspect of this. Now we go into Charaka's point of view. According to Charak, there are three. Atita. Atita means inference of the past activities or cause on the basis of present finding or effect. You see something in the present, you infer something in the past. Like someone, you see a scar in the hand. What do you infer from that? You see that the person had undergone some kind of trauma or some kind of injury in the past. When you examine the patient, you see a scar in the right lower quadrant in the iliac fossa. Then what do you guess? We guess that that patient has undergone appendectomy in the past or had undergone some kind of abdominal surgery in the past. So inferring something something has happened in the past on the basis of present findings. What you see at the present is Atita Kala, Agama, Anumana. For example, we go into Atita Kala. You see a pregnant lady. Just I'm going with the same example that has been mentioned by Charak. You see a pregnant lady. What do you infer? You infer that there has been Maithuna there has been Maithuna in there, or between the couples or between the spouses. Okay, so this is how we make an inference. Another is Anagata, means unagata, that has not come. Means you are making inference of the thing that has not happened, that has not occurred, or the thing that is going to happen in the future. So inference of future effect on the basis of present findings. Okay. You in the present findings, what do you say? For example, we can when you go in a clinical setting, if you find someone who has been taking different kinds of viruddhahar for a long term of period. For example, let's say matsya and dugdha, chira. Okay, in the long term, what do you say? You are obviously going to say that if the person continues consuming that, we can say that the person who is going to have some kushtajanit vyadhi there in the future. So anagata means inferring something in the future on the basis of the present findings. That is anagata. Okay. This is an example. Means you see some seeds. Okay, in a farmer's place, you see some seeds, and the farmer is obviously not going to make atta or flour from this. He's obviously going to use it for plantation. So on the basis of seed, you infer that these seeds in the future will generate a crop, a field of crop like this. So this kind of inference what we make is called anagata kala. Another is vartaman kalin, means an inference that are made in general. The most popular example, every Ayurveda students or every student of a darshan always have yatra yatra dhuma tatra tatra agni, and all these kinds of, wherever there is fire, there is smoke. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. So we come to a conclusion. The same classical example, there is smoke in the mountain. Okay, Parvato. In Parvat, there is dhuma. So what do you infer? You fear that the Parvat is on fire. There is fire there. From that fire, the dhuma has come. This is the inference which we make in general in the Vartaman. Now, according to Nyaya Darshan also has divided Anumana into three parts. That is Pudavat, Sesvat, and Samanyata Drishta. Only through previously obtained pratyaksha jnanam anumana can be obtained. Atha tat purvakam trividam anumanam, that is anumanam, sorry, there has been some mistake. Purvavat, seshavat, samanyato drishtam cha. Means this anumana are three types: Purvavat, Seshavat, and Samanyato Drishta. Purvavat means same as what Charak has mentioned. Okay. Purvavat means yatra karanena karyam anumiyate tat purvam. Means to infer the effect to be produced in the future on the basis of the karan, present cause. From karanena means from karana, you are doing the anumana of karya. From the if cause, you are doing the deduction of the effect or the cause or the work or the changes that are going to happen in the future. So this kind of observation is Purvavat Anumana, same as Anagata in Charaka. Predictive is on the habit of consumption of Nidana. This can be an example there. Another is forthcoming rain on seeing the clouds. For example, a very good example is rheumatism. Okay? In rheumatism, usually the patients, when they have pain, they predict that that it's going to rain there. So this kind of deduction, this kind of inferences, what we make is Purvavat Anumana. Another is Sesavat. Sesa means yatra karyena karanam anumiyate. That's Sesavat. Inference of effect by the cause. Means what has happened in the past, we can make a deduction from this. Inference of seed from fruit. You see the fruit, what do you deduce? You make that the seed was there in the past. An inference of rain, when you see a river, the water river has been rising rapidly, then what do you expect? You have a deduction that it might have rained in the hilly area, or from where the river is flowing, that area might have had a heavy rainfall. So you make this kind of deduction on the basis of this and that is Sesavat Anumana. Now another is Samanyata Drishta. Samanyata Drishta Anumana is Samanyata Drishta Anumanam Karya Karana Vindalingam, means which is free from this Karya Karana, which what has been explained before. Same as a Charak's third, where we have inferences are made by general observation. The popular examination is, it indicates observation made in the present. The most popular example is inference of Agni from Dhuma. You see Dhuma, then you obviously infer that there is Agni there. Another, according to Tarka Sangraha, there are two kinds of Anumana: Swartha Anumana and Parartha Anumana. As the word says, so Artha Anumana, Para Artha Anumana. But these are the two things, okay? Now we go into Swartha Anumana, means the kind of inference which we make for ourselves. We don't need to explain to others, okay? Which we make on ourselves is Swartha Anumana. Means it is the cause of deduction of a logical inference in one's own mind. It is based on repeated observation and experience in the past. Now we all know that in Parartha Anumana there is Pancha Avayava Vakya. In Swartha Anumana there are Traya Avayava Vakya. Means here we have only three things: Sadhya, Hetu, and Paksha. These are the three things we need to deduce. We don't need to explain to any other. We don't have to give any drishtanta there, but we use the three things, that is Paksha, what has to be proved, subject of observation, Hetu, the reason that is there, another is Sadhya, okay, what is to be proved. Only these three, Trivida Avayava Vakya is used to validate Swartha Anumana. Whereas in Parartha Anumana, these are the 6 stages we go into. Stage 1, Vyapti Graha, where there is smoke, there is fire, as observed frequently in the kitchen. Vyapti means invariable concomitance, means there is principle. Wherever there is something is there, means is always there. This kind of relationship is called Vyapti Graha. Okay, Vyapti. Stage 2, whenever there is doubt of the existence of Sadhya, when he sees the smokes in the mountain, he doubts about the experience, means a question mark is put there. Question mark means he sees the smoke there in the mountain, then there is smoke, so obviously there has to be some fire there. Okay, he puts a question mark there. That is stage 2. Stage 3, he finds the Hetu and Paksha, means presence of smoke. Why he is inferring that? He's inferring that because there is smoke in the mountain. Stage 4 is recollection of the invariable concomitance by finding Hetu and Paksha. Now, how does he say there is smoke? Now, where has he experienced that? He has experienced that in kitchen, where there is always a relationship between smoke and fire. He has seen that. He is recollecting those experiences. That is stage 4. In stage 5, then he goes into Linga Paramarsa, which combines the knowledge of invariable concomitance and the knowledge of reasoning, Paksya Dharmata Jnana, and then he comes to the conclusion that the Paksya is associated with the Sadhya or Sadhya axis in the Paksya. These are the steps for Swartha Anumana. Now in Parartha Anumana is like, it's something a teacher explaining a student. Parartha Anuman is something like that. A teacher has understood something, he has explained something. He explains it to students by giving various examples. That can be a kind of explanation process. I'm not saying that is Anumana, but that is how Parartha Anuman goes. Okay, inference made by others once the person has done Swartha Anuman. Criteria is there. What is the criteria? The criteria is there. There has to be Swartha Anumana first in order to do Parartha Anuman. Means the person should have understood the thing, or he should have obtained that jnana, that knowledge, in order to explain that to other person. If he has not obtained the knowledge, he will not be able to explain it to other person about the changes or about the inference that has to be explained to him by giving Drishtanta and all these things. These are the stages. You have Swartha Anumana, you use Panchavayava Vakya, and then you make Parartha Anumana. These are the 3 ways it is done. First, Swartha Anumana, then we go into Panchavayava Vakya. Through Panchavayava Vakya, you do Parartha Anuman, means you are making the inference or the deduction for other person using 5 different kinds of Parartha Anumana. Panchavayava Vakya. What is Panchavayava? Panchavayava Vakya is Pratigya, Hetu, Dharana, Upanayana, Nigamana. Okay? These are the 5. Now, this is just an example of Panchavayava Vakya and how are we doing that. Pratigya is that assertion or the proposition or the assumption. What you say when you see a mountain on fire, a mountain with smoke, we come to a preposition. Obviously, the mountain is on fire or the mountain is fiery. Parvato Bahaniman. Then what do you give the reason? Why have you made that deduction, or why have you made that preposition? What is the logic behind it? And you say it is Dhuma Vatva, because there is smoke there, or it has smoke. Now you go into another step, that is Udaharana. You give an illustration. Illustration means Drishtanta, that is both should be understandable by Murkha and Vidusa. Okay, Buddhiman Purusha, that is Udaharana or Drishtanta. So you give that kind of example, which the person has, with the person with whom you are talking can easily understand. Okay, not something that you have a very complex kind of explanations. That kind of explanations will make the matter worse. So what you have to do is you give a very simple and, let's say, general Drishtanta. For in this case, it is, for in case of the fire, we give that yo-yo dhumavana so agnimana yatha mahanasa. Whatever is smoky is always has fire. And you give an illustration. What is the illustration? Like in the kitchen. In kitchen, you cook food, there is fire. With fire, there is always smoke. So you see this. This is illustration. Now you do the Upanayana, means on the basis of this illustration, you apply those illustrations. Where do you apply? Because there is smoke, there is also smoke. You try to make a correlation between these 2 things. And then finally, it's Nigamana. Then you come to a conclusion on the basis of, the previously explained thing, on the basis of Hetu, Udaharana, Upanayana, you make a conclusion like that mountain is on fire. Because it is Dhuma. We saw the Dhuma in kitchen. Wherever there is fire, there is Dhuma. There is Dhuma also there. That's why, since there is Dhuma there, as it was in kitchen, we come to a conclusion that mountain is on fire. Explain it in that way. We go with a logical way and a systematic explanation. Now, this is just an illustration of the same thing. First, what you say Parvato Bahimanam iti pratigya. That is pratigya. You make a preposition. Now, what do you say? Dhumavat iti hetu. You see Dhuma there. So, like in this case, you see, here you see the Dhuma. Okay. And similarly, you have another Dhuma here. So, you use Drishtanta there. Okay. You give a Drishtanta that yo Dhumavan saso Agnimana. Means whatever is Dhumamana is Agnimana. Then you see, and then you make a Upanayana, means Tathatrayam. It is there also. Then from this, you make a deduction that Tasmat Tatha, means that is why the Parvat is on fire. So you make this kind of deduction. By this kind of deduction, you You use this Panchavaya Vakya to make Parartha Anumana. Now Anumana Veda continues. There is another. Muktavali has said Keval Anvayi, Keval Vyatireki, and Anvaya Vyatireki. Anumana Vetrividam, Keval Anvayi, Keval Vyatireki, Anvaya Vyatireka Vedata. These are 3 times. Means where there is absence of Vipaksha, it is Anvaya. Means wherever there is fire, there is Vishaya. Wherever there is fire, there is smoke. Means both are there. There is no Vipaksha there. Then it is Anvaya. We're going to Keval Anvayi. That is positive reference. Means you are talking about positive. You are not talking about negative aspect. You are not saying since there is no Dhuma, there is no fire. Since you are talking, there is Dhuma, that is why there is Agni. Means you are making a positive presence reference. Then that is Keval Anvayi. Tatra asad Vipaksha Keval Anvayi. Means non-existence of Vipaksha. Vipaksha means which contradicts to the statement, there is no existence of Vipaksha. Wherever there is a relationship, this is important. Wherever there is, means wherever there is something related to is there. Example, like we always give, means wherever there is Hetu, this Dhuma, there is Agni, this kind of positive reference. We are talking about the presence, this kind of existence of Sadhya. The correlation between Hetu and Sadhya is Anvaya, which means wherever Hetu exists, there is always existence of Sadhya. This is the important thing. Hetu and Sadhya are related here. They stay together. Okay, then this is Anvaya. Vyatireki is just an opposite one. Okay, Asat Sapaksha Keval Vyatireki. Okay, means it's a non-existence of Sapaksha is called Kevala Vyatireki. Negative inference. Means the Agni is absent, Hetu is also absent. If the Sadhya is absent, Hetu is also absent. Means Vyatireki exists in Vyatireki. Existence is indefinite. Okay, means in a lake, we all know this is a very popular example. In a lake, neither Sadhya Agni nor Hetu Dhuma exist. Hence, the knowledge of Agni never arises in the lake. Hence, it is called negative correlation or Vyatireka Vyapti. That is, there is no smoke. Where there is no smoke, there is no fire. Now, when we combine these two together, then we come presence of Sapaksha and Vipaksha is called Anvaya Vyatireki. Positive and negative reference. Sat Sapaksha Vipaksha Anvaya Vyatireka. The Vyapti, which prevails both positive and negative, is Anvaya Vyatireka. Means, like for the example, when we say wherever there is smoke, there is fire, that is Anvaya. When we say where there is no smoke, there is no fire, that is Vyatireki. But when we combine both negative and positive, then it comes Anvaya Vyatireki. Means when there is fire, where there is smoke, there is fire. And in the place where there is no smoke, there is no fire. This kind of thing, when we talk, that is known as. Now we go into a little detail onto Panchavaya. Okay, we just made a small talk there. Now we talk an important part of Parartha Anuman. Panchavaya is an important part of Parartha Anuman. There are 5 avayava vakya. Pratigya hetu udharana upanaya nigamana panchavayavaha. Means pratigya hetu udharana upanayana and nigamana are the 5 avayava for our knowledge. And nearly everything, like even if your thesis, if you are writing, it has to be validated with pratigya. Everything, whatever is mentioned, it has to be validated with this panchavayava vakya. Means what can be validated with panchavayava vakya is a fact, that is truth. This is a very beauty of Ayurveda where we get this. What is pratigya? Means pratigya nama sadhya vachanam purusam nitya iti. Proposition of a statement that is to be proved in the future is called pratigya. The sadhya vachana that has to be proved is pratigya. Example: fire is in the mountain. Okay. Now Purusha is nitya. So here the nityatva of the Purusha is to be proved. Or in case of fire, the Bahaninatva of the mountain, of the Parvat has to be proved. So it is also called a proposition or declaration or assertion. Whatever we propose, that is to be proved. Something like hypothesis in a research. Parvato Bahinimanam iti pratigya means the mountain is fairy. This is the declaration which is to be proved. Now once the pratigya is made, we go into Hetu, the reason. Why do you say that the mountain is on fire? You have to give your reasons. Means athaha hetu nama upalabdhi karanam. means hetu is the instrument for obtaining the knowledge. It is the reason or the instrument which you do. That is kritakatwaditi. This is for the Purusha, because the Purusha is not artificial or created by any others. It is nitya. That is what we are giving the reason. In case of Dhuma, Dhumavad iti hetu. Why do you say that the mountain is on fire? Because it is covered with smoke. You are giving the reason there. Now you have to validate your reason by giving some examples. Examples mean drishtanto nam yatra murkha vidusam buddhi samyam yo varnyam varnayati vyapti pratikapatakam drishtantam sahita vachanam udaharanam. It's explaining something by stating some examples is drishtanta or udaharana. You are explaining something, okay, with some udaharana, with some illustrations. Examples is udaharana. This makes the topic easily understandable to both Murkha and Buddhiman Purusha. Like before also I said, whatever udaharan we are giving, it has to be understandable by both the people. You cannot give, like you are talking with a group of general public and you give an example from Upanishad that is very hard to understand, or from any other Shastra that is very, very hard to understand. So that kind of things cannot be used as Drishtanta because the person won't be able to perceive the knowledge you are trying to give it to him. Okay. Example, to prove the Nityata of Purusha, example of Akash is given, as Akash is not created by anyone, so is the Purusha. Similarly, to prove that the mountain in fairy, an example of kitchen is given. Why? Because presence of smoke along with fire is observed there by nearly everyone. We are giving a very simple example there. Now Upanaya. Upanayana is application. Vyapti Visishta Lingasya Paksha Dharmataya Vachanam Upanayana. When the statement which has been proved is compared with Udharana is Upanayana. Comparison of Pratigya with Udharana is Upanayana. Yatcha Akritam Akasam Tatcha Niyata Tatha Purusaiti. Since Akash is not created by anyone, Purusha is also not created by anyone, therefore both has to be Nitya. So this is how we come to a Upanayana. To prove the Nityata of Purusha, the Upanayana is given as thus: as there is no creator of Akasa, it is Nitya. There is also no creator of Purusha. Purusha is also not created by anyone. Therefore, the mountain is also like kitchen because it has fire there, as seen in the kitchen. We give this kind of deductions, and therefore we come to a conclusion that is known as, sorry. I'm extremely sorry, my slide just disappeared from here. Well, I'll tell you. Means when we come to the last point of Panchavaya, that is Nigamana. Nigamana means you come to a conclusion on the basis of all the 4 points which we have discussed about: the Pratigya, the Hetu, Udharana, and Upanayana. From basically the Nigamana, it comes with Upanayana. Since Upanayana establishes the relationship there, and the final conclusion which we prove is Nigamana, the conclusion of the statement, or the conclusion of the process which validates the Pratigya is Upanayana. Now, while studying Anumana, there are certain terms which we should be used to, or which we should be familiar with. Okay, the first topic is Paksha. What is Paksha? Means Samdigdasya Sadhvan Paksha. The subject of the place where the object to be proved is suspected is called Paksha. Means what is the Paksha here? The mountain. When we talk about this Parvatoyam Vahimana, it is always the mountain. The mountain is fairy. In this statement, as the fire is the subject of the mountain is said to be Paksha. It is the subject or place that has to be proved. Okay, Paksha can be of 2 types, Sapaksha and Vipaksha. Okay, Sapaksha can be Nishchit Sadhyavana Sapaksha, with the place where the Paksha definitely exists is Sapaksha. Example, kitchen, where the fire definitely exists. Another is Vipaksha, means Nishchit Sadhya Avavan Vipaksha. The place where the absence of Sadhya is always proved is Vipaksha. Example, lake, where fire never exists. These are the 2 points of Paksha. Another is that, like I said, there are the 3, Panchavaya Vakya is another. There are 3 things I told, which are Paksha, Hetu, and Sadhya. These are the 3 things we should always keep in mind, because these are the 3 things that comes again and again. So we are going through those points. What is Paksha? We just discussed what is Paksha. Now, what is sadhya? Means sadhaniya yatvat sadhyam. Pakshe sadhayitabhya vishaya sadhyam means the presence or existence of a subject which has to be proved. That is sadhya. Which has to be proved on paksha. Like paksha is heel. What are we proving? We are proving the existence of fire. Okay. We are proving the existence of fire in the heel because the heel is on. To prove that the fire is there, that fire, what we are trying to prove is sadhya. Parvata Vahinmana example we go through, fire exists on the mountain. Therefore, the fire is sadhya, which has to be proved, which has to be established. That is sadhya. Now, hetu. Hetu is a very big topic. Sandhaniya yasya jnanena paksha sadhyasya siddhi bhavati sa hetu udharana sadharmat sadhya sadhanam hetu. Hetur naam upalabdhi karanam, Charaka has mentioned, with which knowledge the existence or the presence of an object is proved on paksha is called hetu. Means the knowledge or the thing or the logical reasoning, whatever we apply there to prove the existence of a certain thing on the hetu, on the sadhya is called hetu. Means the reason for obtaining a particular knowledge is also known as hetu, with which the sadhya is proved or established on the basis of similarity with udharana, udharya sadharmyat, sadhya sadhanam hetu. Means on the basis of the similarities with udharana, what are we trying to prove is hetu. For example, dhuma is the hetu to prove the existence of Agni on the mountain. Now, vyapti. Vyapti is something like, if we try to understand, it's something like samavaya. They exist always together. Without the existence of one, there is no existence of another. Something like samavaya. So, vyapti is invariable concomitance. The existence of both are always together. Which yatra yatra dhuma tatra tatra vahani iti sahacharya niyama vyapti. The sahacharya, saha astitva niyama. Okay. Both staying together, that kind of relationship where both are related to each other, where one exists, the other also exists, that kind of niyama is called vyapti. Okay, the mutual relationship between smoke and fire is called vyapti. It's known as vyapti. Example, wherever smoke exists, there exists fire. This kind of relationship, this kind of co-relationship, I think it's better to use the word co-relationship or interdependence upon each other. The existence of one depends upon the existence of another. This kind of relationship is called vyapti. Vyapti can be of two types, Anvaya Vyapti and Vyatireka Vyapti. Okay, we always understood in the further things. When there is one, there is another, that is Anvaya. When the absence of both Sadhya and Hetu is Vyatireka Vyapti. Paksha Dharmata. Vyapasya Parvata Adihi Vrittitvam Paksha Dharmata. This illustration helps us to understand Vyapti, Paksha Dharmata, and Anumiti. All three things is here. Sadhya is the fire which we have to prove. The Paksha is the Parvat. Hetu is the Dhuma. These are the three things. Okay. Means the relationship between Hetu and Paksha is Paksha Dharmata. The coexistence of Hetu and Paksha is known as Paksha Dharmata. Okay. Another is Vyapti, means Hetu Sadhya Sambandha is Vyapti. Anumiti means Paksha and Sadhya Sambandha is Anumiti. So these illustrations helps us to understand what is Vyapti, what is Paksha Dharmata, and what is Anumiti. Now we go into Paksha Dharmata. Vyapyasya Parvatadi Vrittitvam Paksha Dharmata. The existence of Hetu and Paksha is known as Paksha Dharmata. Another important part is Linga Paramarsa. We said in the second slide, basis of Linga's Paramarsa, Anumana is made. Okay. Now, what is Linga Paramarsa? Means the Linga Paramarsa or the recognition of a sign is alone the instrumental cause of an inference for both Swartha Anuman and Parartha Anuman. Swartha Anumanam iti Parartha Anumanam cha Linga Paramarsa eva karane tasmat Linga Paramarsa Anumanam. It's a Linga Paramarsa or the recognition of a sign, that is the English term, it's better to use the word Linga Paramarsa, is alone the instrumental cause. It is the only cause for inference. Anuman is based on Linga Paramarsa. Okay. Therefore, Linga Paramarsa is an act of inference. It is an method, the way to make Anumana. Now we go that with an example. Now we go with an example. Okay, it's better to understand with an example. Having made repeatedly and personal observation of the kitchen, observation in the kitchen, and the like that whatever there is, wherever there is smoke, there will be fire. Means a person has been working in the kitchen or has repeatedly had an observation in the kitchen that wherever that there is fire, there is smoke, and this repeated examination or observation brings a certain knowledge to him that wherever there is smoke, there has to be fire, or wherever there is fire, there has to be smoke. Then the person comes to an invariable conclusion that there is fire, there is smoke. That is an invariable sequence. Then the person is traveling around. He goes around, let's say you are in Karnataka, somewhere around Karnataka area, you see a mountain there, and he observes a mountain. And on the top of the mountain, he sees a mountain, a smoke on the top of the mountain. Now, the first thing that will come into his brain on the basis of previous experience is he doubts about the existence of fire. He puts a question: is that mountain on fire? A doubt about the existence of fire in it. Then he recollects the invariable relationship of smoke and fire on the basis of previous observation. Then he thinks, okay, there is smoke there. Smoke in kitchen. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. That is his previous observation. Then he established the relationship between smoke and fire. Finally, he comes to the conclusion that mountain is on fire. He comes to a conclusion on the basis of his previous experience. This whole process is called Linga Paramarsa. Okay. In this example, Linga here, the Hetu is Dhuma. Vyapti is the invariable relationship between Dhuma and Agni. And Anumiti, the knowledge about the Agni and the mountain, based on Linga Paramarsa. He makes the knowledge. He makes the conclusion that the fire. In this way, Linga Paramarsa is done. Now Linga, we go into Linga, the word Linga. Linga means the Visishta Lakshan with which will be present always on an object is Linga, Sahachara Niyama. Lakshana is of Linga is Vyapti Balena Arthagamakam Lingam, the one which helps to clarify the knowledge of an object with the help of the Vyapti, invariable concomitance is Linga. Linga again can be of three types: Keval Anvayi, Keval Vyatireki, and Anvayi Vyatireki. The same thing again comes here. Now this one, the Hetu. Hetu is very important because we studied about Hetu in before also. Now we go into another Hetu. Hetu is the main tool and an important aspect of Anumana. Okay, we have seen that we use Hetu everywhere. Reasoning is there because it's on fire, because there is smoke and all these things. So we need to be very clear about what is Hetu. We should be able to make a proper judgment about Hetu, whether it's a proper Hetu or it's not a proper Hetu, or a proper reasoning or not a reasoning. You cannot say that boiling water is cold because of this and that, because it is drava or something like that, because when you touch it, boiling water, you have a reason that it's hot. So these kind of things, whatever Hetu we are using should be correct, should be rational, and should be logical. So we should be using a proper Hetu in establishing the relationship between Hetu, Sadhya, and the Paksha. Okay, on proving the Sadhya. This Hetu is of two types: Sad Hetu and Asad Hetu. Okay, what is, as the word says, Sad means valid or good reasoning. Valid reason is the base of inference. This is very important. Whatever inference we make, it is based on reason, as I already mentioned. So if the reason is Sat, true, then the inference will be correct. Whatever deduction we are making is correct. Okay. There are various examples like Sabdatva is Anitya. Why? Because we can create it. I'm speaking. Sabda is coming out. So it's Anitya. Something like that, because of a person is speaking. But that is not the thing. Sabda is Nitya. Right? So these are the things, whatever logical reasoning which we are using should be Sat. It should be correct. But if the reason is Asad, faulty, then the knowledge based on the reason will be Asad, will be incorrect. Okay, that will be the reason which we are using will be a Hetu or Asad Hetu or Hetavasa. The Sad Hetu should have five typical characteristics. Okay, Paksha Sattvam, Sapaksha Sattvam, Vipaksha Vyavritatvam, Asat Pratipakshatvam, and another is Avaditatvam. These are the five features for the Hetu to be Sat. Paksha Sattvam means when the existence of a property to be proved is doubtful, it's called subject or Paksha Sattvam. After seeing the Dhuma and Parva, then we get the doubt for the Agni, about the Agni. That is Paksha. Paksha, existence of the Paksha. The Paksha should be there. Your Paksha is the hill. Okay, there should be Paksha. Another is Sapaksha Sattvam, existence of Hetu and Sapaksha as well. What did we say Sapaksha? Previously, we have already discussed about Paksha and Sapaksha before. Okay. Now, when the existence of the property to be proved is undoubted, then this is called subject on the same side or Sapaksha. When there is undoubted. After attaining the knowledge of Dhuma in Mahanasa, we get the knowledge that the Hetu, which is Dhuma there, is present in the Sapaksha. Present in the Sapaksha. This is how we come to a deduction. This is the second point. Another important characteristics of Sadhetu is Vipaksha Vyavritvatam or Vipaksha Asatvatam, means contrary indications. Things which object to it, that should not be present there. Means where the absence of the property to be proved is undoubted, or Dhuma and Agni are never present in the lake. Means there is absence of the contrary points or contrary indications. Okay, where the Dhuma and Agni are never present in the lake. Getting the knowledge of a Dhuma in the lake is impossible. Here the lake stands for Vipaksha, which is neither the base for Dhuma and Agni, because it does not support Dhuma, neither it supports Agni. That's why this is called Vipaksha Vyavritvam and Asat Pratipakshatvam. Means Asat means the Hetu which we are using to prove something, or if the inferential knowledge, if one Hetu proves the existence of Sadhya, at the same time another Hetu should not contradict it. This is important. Another Hetu should not contradict it. We are using one Hetu to say this is this, or like this is fire, this is Nitya. There should not be another Hetu that comes and contradict or objects to the preposition that is made. So there should be non-existence of contradicting Hetu. Example, as a Sabda are produced, they are Anitya. This kind of reasoning. We all know that Sabda is Nitya. But if someone comes and presents like Ghatapara, you are striking a drum and you are making Sabda, and you say that, okay, it has been created, that's why it is Anitya. And these kind of things should not be there. It should not contradict it. Another is Avaditattva, means the object. We are using a pramana. Okay, we are using a pramana to establish a certain logic, the Hetu you are using. But that should not be contraindicated by, or that should not be rejected by any other pramana. That is whether Pratyaksha or Aptapadesa or any other pramana. You all know that fire is hot to touch, but someone says that the fire is cold as water, because water is Drapatva and it is cold. Then this kind of things contradicts it, because that is not there. Because when by our Pratyaksha Gyan, we all know that the fire is hot because of Sparsa. When we touch a hot thing, it is always, or when we touch a fire, it's very hot. So this kind of things, it should not be contraindicated by any other pramana. Then this kind of Hetu are known as, if these 5 Hetus are not present in a Hetu, then it becomes a Hetu. Asad Hetu or Ahetu or Hetuvasa. The reason which does not possess one or more of the above mentioned 5 characteristics, 5 qualities of Sadhetu is a Hetu. As the name said, it is a Hetu. It is not a Hetu. The name is itself clear, or the name itself makes it clear that the Hetu is a Hetu or a Sadhetu. The factors which are not a reason but resemble, or it appears to be like appears to be a reason. Some like in Charaka, when we read about Chadma Vishak and all these things, Vaidyavesi, he is not a Vaidya, but it appears like a Vaidya. Something like that. It is not a Hetu, but it appears like a Hetu. Then it is called Hetva Avasa. That gives the feeling or Avas of Hetu. A Hetu has been explained by Acharya Charang and Vad Marga. The word Ahetu itself denotes that it is not a Hetu or cause. Now, Ahetu or Nama, Ahetu are of 3 types. Okay. Nama, Prakarana Sama, Sansaya Sama, and Varnya Sama. Acharya has mentioned this. Hetuvad avasantam iti hetuvasa. Because of a false knowledge, one consider an invalid reason as a valid reason in inference. Such invalid reason is called hetuvasa. the main difference between a hetu and hetu is that hetu establishes a fact, whereas a hetu prevents us from establishing a fact. This is very important. Now, for example, the most popular example for this is that this is a cow because it has horn. Okay, I am go vishanitvat. We write vishanitvat. We write that. Okay, we say that it has horn. That's why it is a cow. But that does not. Any animal that has a horn is not a cow. There are another examples. There are another animals like goat, buffalo that has horn, but it is not a cow. This kind of examples which prevents us from establishing a fact, from validating our pratigya, that is known as asadhetu. Ayam go vishanitvat. Means this is a cow because it has horn. The hetu which we are giving, that it has horn, is not the valid reasoning. Okay. In the above statement, there is no concomitance among vishanitva and gotva. The cow variety and the horn are not concomitants, because that horn also exists in another, because the quality or the region vishanitva finds itself, it is also found in buffalo and other animals also. The knowledge of vishanitva obstruct the establishment of facts. The above statement is an asadhetu or hetvavasa. Now the main thing, okay, we all study. Usually the students who comes in the first year, okay, if they have not had a previous orientation of point of view. Why do we need to know Anumana? Why do we need to have the knowledge of Anumana? Why do we need to study Anumana? And how is it useful for us in our practice in the future? Or because we all intend to become a very good Vaidya or a doctor in the future. So why are we studying this? Why do we need to learn about this? So we need, basically the main thing is, why is it important in Ayurveda? Importance of Anumana in Ayurveda. Okay. First thing, Anumana is the means of knowledge. First thing, Anumana, along with other three pramana, Charak has also said that whatever jnana is there, it can be obtained by through four process after Pradesha, Yukti, Anumana, and Pratyaksha. So it is one of the means of knowledge. It's whatever knowledge we are getting. Okay, because whatever is mentioned in our text does not cover everything. In very places, it has been mentioned that it has been mentioned in Samasa. You need to deduce by using your own brain. You should use Tantra Yukti to understand. So how do you use all these things? You use all these things by learning, studying, and the use of various pramana there. So it is a means of knowledge. Another, Charak has mentioned the scope of Anumana is very vast. Means pratyakshami alpam, analpam, apratyaksam. So whatever is there in this world that can be perceived through our senses or through our indriya are very limited. And there are many things that are beyond our five senses. So the scope of Anumana, the area where Anumana can be used, is very vast. Whatever is apratyaksha, usually the main method of obtaining that knowledge is Anumana. Okay. Now, another important is knowledge of disease. How do you get the knowledge of disease? How do you do Roga Pariksha, the Rogi Pariksha? Both. In both cases, Rogi Pariksha, you use Vyadhina Samyak Vidyad Vichakshana. Aptascha Upadeshena Pratyaksha Karanena cha Anumanena cha Vyadhin Samyak Vidyad Vichakshana. Means a wise physician, a wise person should use Anumana Aptupadesa Pratyaksha to understand a disease or to examine a disease. So to know a disease, you should have a very sound mind, a sound knowledge about Anumana and how to use it. Examination of rasa, when we do rasa pariksha, all these things, Charak has mentioned in Vimana, rasa tu khalu atura sarirgatam indriya vaisayikam api anumanam anumanad avagachet. Means rasa, okay, which rasa is predominant in the water, you can't go and lick something. So what you do is that you do it with the help of Anumana. For example, Madhumeha, in case of Madhumeha, okay, what is the Lakshan there? Pipilika comes there, okay, the ant come there. That is the Lakshan. Now, how do you know that the ant is there? That is why it has Madhu or it is sweet in taste. Because we go with the reference, wherever there are sweet things, the ant come. You have seen that in kitchen, you have seen that in a sweet shop. So if the ant come there to the urine, then you suspect that there is madhu there. There is madhu ras. That's why the name Madhumeha is given. So these kind of things which we can, examination of ras of different parts of these things, of the patient examination, it has to be done with Anumana. Apart from that, in Charak Viman 4, has provided a list of factors, okay, a long list of factors where you can use Anumana. It is a very, very long where you use, how do you observe the Jatarag? How do you know the Agni of that patient? You cannot measure, you cannot touch it, you don't have a parameter or an instrument to measure Agni. How do you measure it? Then you measure it with the Jarana Sakti, according to his digestion. If he can digest very heavy, very oily, very Guru Ahar very easily, then his Agni is stronger. Even very Lagu Ahar, let's say Yavagu, Manda, you give a person and then it takes him 7 to 8 hours or 9 hours to get digested. Then what do you say? His Jarana Sakti or his Agni is weak, or he is suffering from Mandagni or something like that. So these kind of things, examination of patients, observing patients, okay, these all has its role through Anumana. How do you know that a person's bala is avara, madhyana, uttam bala? So you do it through his vyayama sakti. How do you know that a person's organs are working, or his sense organs, his gyanendriya are working better? You do with the help of sabda grahana sakti. Sabda artha, sabdadi artha grahanena means through the use of, whether you talk, he doesn't respond, you make a deduction that, okay, he has hearing weakness, he has hearing problem. This kind of things, you make all this kind of Anumana through, all this inference through Anumana Pramana. There are some like Raja Sangena, Moham Avijnanena, Krodha Vidrohena, Vijnana Vyavasayena. There are many others there that Charak has mentioned there. So I've just left it. Now, main thing is that whatever diagnosis we are making, okay, whatever diagnosis, like we ascertain that this is the disease there, all those assertions, all those things are made through Anumana. In certain cases where you have Pratyaksha Pramana. For example, you have Kushta, you see it's Mandala Kushta, you have the appearance there, you see there, okay? Or you make some, you see Kotha there, Udarda there in the body of the patient. Then you make, there are Pratyaksha Pramana involved there. But those Pratyaksha Gyan which you are obtaining also has its base on previously obtained knowledge or after. Then you go, it has been mentioned in that book, you bring it here, you use that, and then ultimately you make an Anumana. That is why Anumana is an important source of knowledge in the field of diagnosis of disease. Okay. Now, Samchaya, Prakopa, and Samya Avastha of dosa. How do you know it? How do we know that this is the Samchaya Avastha, this has been the Prakopa Avastha, this is Samya Avastha? It's all these things you might have studied in the text, you see similar features in there in the patient, then you go to the text, okay, in that book it was mentioned this is the similar things. That is why, okay, this has to be Samchaya. This has to be the Prakopa Avastha. This has to be the Samya Avastha. Okay. These are the things which we make an inferred by Anuman Pramana. And even a dosa dushya involvement, this is the dosa, this is the dushya, okay, then that is all based on Anumana. And the diagnosis of all Anukta Vyadhi, okay, in our text. There are many diseases that has not been mentioned in our text. The diagnosis of Anukta Vyadhi are basically based on Anumana. All those things, we go back, we study dosa dushya involvement, see the features, and then we back and we possibly say this could be the features, okay? This way, Anuman Praman is a very important Pramana, not just for studying, but also in our clinical setup, also in our practice. So it is very better to understand Anumana, what are Hetu, and how does it involve in all these things. We need to see those things, have a good knowledge about Anumana, and be able to use those things in practice also. With this, I would like to end my session. Dhanyavad to everyone.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, if you have any queries, can drop your queries in the chat box or else unmute yourself and ask directly to sir. Gaudesh, sir? There are no doubts, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Once again, I would like to say thank you to every members involved in this webinar. Thank you very much to Venkatesh sir for providing me this opportunity and the organizing committee. Thank you very much. And it was a really great opportunity to share some knowledge, share some insights about Ayurveda to all of you, and possibly hope to see some kind of cooperation in the future also. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, madam.
Sir, now it's time for vote of thanks. Our PG scholar going to present vote of thanks. Kindly be with us.
Okay, I will be. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon to all. It's time for vote of thanks of today's session of Samsiddhi 2021. Thank you, sir, for a wonderful session on the topic Anumana Pramana. I would like to thank today's guest speaker, Dr. Abhishek Tambrekar, sir, for accepting our request and being a part of this webinar. Thank you, sir. On behalf of management, event president, organizers of Samsiddhi 2021, and Department of PG Studies in Samhita Siddhanta, SVM Ayurvedic Medical College, Ilkal. Now, I would like to thank Shri Manipura Guru Mahanta Swamiji for his blessings. Thank you, Swamiji. I would like to thank management members, SPM AMC Vehicle, for their kind support. I would like to thank our event president, our beloved principal, Dr. K.C. Das sir, for his never-ending support for this event. I would like to thank our event organizer, our HOD, Dr. M.R. Sajjan Shetty sir, and Dr. D.H. Kati sir, Srimati Rupa Madam, Dr. G.N. Kanoli sir, Dr. Rashmi Ulli ma'am, Dr. Venkatesh Gowda sir. Lastly, I would like to thank all the participants in Zoom and also viewers for watching on YouTube for making this event successful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. And namaskar to all of you. Thank you, sir. With this, I take leave, sir.